All right, thank you very much, Alexis, for all of those details down at the southern border. All right, so I want to put something up on the screen that was sent to me by a Georgia lawmaker, a Republican named Houston Gaines. He had posted on social media about this atrocity. And he sent, this is not from New York, this is from Georgia. So follow me here. This alleged killer entered the country in 2022 illegally. Then in New York, the following year, he was arrested and released in New York. After that, he went down to Georgia, where he was cited, and you can see it right there on the right side of your screen, cited for shoplifting. He was then supposed to show up for court. On the left side of your screen, I believe that is. That is the bench warrant that was then issued for his arrest because he was a no-show, of course, in court for the shoplifting in Georgia. So you've got an illegal border crossing. You've got criminal actions and arrests in New York, released, flees the state basically, goes to Georgia, commits shoplifting, then doesn't show up for his court date. There's a warrant out for his arrest. And then within a few months, allegedly, he killed this innocent young woman. Failure after failure after failure at every level of government, but starting at the very top and starting down at the border where Alexis just was. And Katie, I want to start with you on this. As you might be able to tell, I'm still very angry about this. And I've had some people pushing back on social media saying, well, this is not representative of all immigrants or illegal immigrants, and they're not disproportionately guilty of crimes or more violent than any other part of the population. Fine. That's not the point here. The point is this girl should be alive, and there's no excuse for the parade of failures that I just outlined that absolutely contributed to this heinous crime.
No, they allow illegal immigrants in this country to break the law by coming in illegally. Then they gave this guy a bus pass to go to New York City, which was likely paid for by taxpayers through an NGO grant. He comes to New York, gets in trouble for injuring a child. Sanctuary City, is let out of jail, is not prosecuted here. And then he goes to Georgia, and now there's a young woman dead. And all of the media that I've been reading, the Associated Press, for example, the local Atlanta paper, are just taking the fact that he was illegally in the country out of the storyline. And they do that because they don't want to face the reality of what is happening here. The Biden administration has repeatedly said the border is secure, that communities are safe, that they're not allowing criminals into the country. That's not true. It's happening all the time. People are being assaulted, people are being killed, and the media is lying to the American people by omission, by not including this. You also saw this story from the Associated Press about another young woman, Molly Tibbetts, who went running in Iowa, and she was also killed. Well, they failed to mention that the man who killed her was also in the country illegally.
Right, they brought up that example
as an example of women running alone and that it's dangerous, and then they didn't mention his immigration status at all.
In either of these murders.
Correct.
They both happen to be committed by illegal immigrants. I'm sorry, that is a relevant fact because it underscores why those murders should have never taken place. The people who committed them, in this case allegedly, should never have been here in the first place. And Lisa, let's also quickly look at this graphic. Here we have the number of seconds devoted on the network news to this story, at least so far. A brief mention on ABC, nothing on those other two. I feel like maybe the press recognizes this is a dangerous story for the Democrats and for President Biden. The press sides with Democrats almost all the time because immigration is a top issue in this election. And here is a Biden-era illegal immigrant taking advantage of left-wing policies in New York and a very liberal part of Georgia. He's out walking free, apparently, to commit a crime like this. The narrative for their preferred party is damaging here.
Well, and it's important to point out that this isn't a reflection of a broken system. It's a reflection of a choice.
Yeah.
And this is a choice that the Biden administration has made. This is a choice that Democrats have made. America is like a house getting robbed, and instead of doing something about it, we're like, oh, put your feet up. Right? And someone could make the argument, oh, well, you know, illegal aliens aren't disproportionately worse than Americans in crime, yada, yada. But we're increasing the probability of bad things happening when you let 7.2 million illegal immigrants cross the southern border during Joe Biden's presidency, greater than the population of 36 states. You're increasing the possibility when you have a record number of people on the terror watch list being apprehended at the southern border. You're increasing the probability when you're letting Chinese nationalists come into the United United States. So we're increasing the probability of things going wrong in America. And it's not a broken system. It is a choice by this administration. And I think the only reason why this has become such a big issue because it's just gotten so bad. I think Americans in the abstract like the idea of having empathy towards illegal immigrants, but now it's impacting their communities. Now it's impacting their sons and daughters. Now it's increasing crime. Now it has come to their house, their neighborhood. And again, it is a choice by the Democrats.
President Trump, the former president, reacting on Fox and Friends the other day. I don't think we've heard anything from the sitting president, but here's the former president, of course, running to be president again. Watch this.
I just heard about the crime in Georgia. What a shame. It's a new category of crime. It's called migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime.
This is on him.
He's let millions of people. Lawrence, they're emptying out prisons all over the world. Yesterday, they had people coming in from the Congo, from prisons in the Congo. They have them coming in from Asia, from the Middle East. They're crazy. They're destroying our country. We're going to change it. We're going to make America great again.
So, Charlie, we put the graphic up a moment ago about how the networks are really staying away from the illegal immigration aspect of this crime. They cover the crime, but as Katie said in the AP story, it's like, oh, little detail basically unmentioned in a lot of the coverage. We just saw the former president's reaction. I wonder what the White House is going to say, if they're going to say anything at some point here.
Yeah, well, they haven't said anything because obviously they don't care. And truly don't care. They want this to happen. They want to, this is, as Lisa says, this is a choice. They want to have going on what's going on right here. And I think it's really interesting, and I think you're exactly right, Guy. The reason the media avoids this is because I think at some level they realize that this is a catastrophe for the Democrat Party. In 2020, you had 12 people running for the nomination. Every single one of them supported free health care for illegals. And that kind of message turns on an invitation for people to come here. Joe Biden changed all of the border laws so that to create open borders and has allowed 7 million illegals into the country under his watch. They have sanctuary cities. They don't care about crime in their cities, in the places where they control. Every single one of these are direct lines that can be drawn from the policies of the Democrat Party and specifically this administration to the death of Laken Riley. And as appalling as it is, and my heart breaks for her family that they are being thrust into this. But I'm sure that they probably, at the end of the day, the biggest thing out of all of this will be that they don't ever want this to happen to anyone else. And the saddest, another sad thing about this is I would love to live in a country where this guy, if this guy is found guilty, he was executed the next day. I would volunteer. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen. And the American taxpayer is going to have to pay to keep this guy incarcerated in our country for the rest of his life.
And if you look at those numbers you were citing at the border, you add the known gotaways, you're getting a lot closer to 10 million under this president. All right, we'll leave that conversation here for now, but it will continue, trust me.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.